So manifestation is not just wishful thinking, it's not delusion, it's not magic. There's actually science behind it. And when you understand this science, then it becomes very clear how these practices can shift your reality. My name's Georgia. I have a master's degree in consciousness, spirituality, and transpersonal psychology. And in my free time, I love to research manifestation and the science behind shifting our reality. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be giving you a 3-step manifestation process, and each of these different steps is backed by science in some way. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how you can use manifestation to shift your circumstances, and you'll also know exactly why this is a scientific process and not just wishful thinking. Now, the first step of this manifestation process is to saturate your consciousness with your desires. Now, the reason for this is because what we pay attention to is what we see more of. Now, there is neuroscience to back this up. So we have a system in our brain called the reticular activating system, which is a physical system. It's a network of neurons in our brainstem. And what it essentially does is it determines what enters our conscious awareness. And how it does this is based on both what we pay attention to and what we deem important. And the latter is often a result of what we pay attention to the most. So if you want to manifest something, then you need to prime your brain to be attuned to your desire. Because how are you going to be attuned to your desire if you're constantly focusing on the opposite thing? All that is going to do is train your brain to filter in information that is in line with everything you don't want to experience. So instead, you want to make sure as much as possible that you are focusing on what you do want to manifest, what you do want to create in your life. Now, a key thing to understand here is when you focus your conscious attention on your desires, then not only are you training your brain to filter in information that aligns with those desires, but it's also going to filter in opportunities that would bring you closer to your desires, because that is now what your brain is attuned to. So how do you do this? There are so many easy ways that we can do it. We could create a vision board. So I like to create physical vision boards and get Pinterest photos to make it really aesthetically pleasing. You don't have to go to that extreme, but making a vision board where you have all of your desires on it is a really good way to obviously focus on your desires. You can also do active visualizations where not only are you visualizing yourself receiving your desire, but also the process of getting to your desire. You can watch people who are already living the life that you want to live, listen to success stories. You can also spend time researching your desire and how you can work towards it. There are so many different things that you can do. It doesn't really matter what you do. The point is that you are focusing your attention on your desire in one way or another. However you do it, you're going to be priming your brain to then deem your desire important, and so it's going to start filtering in information and opportunities that align with that desire. So even through just step 1, you have already started to shift your reality, because you are now literally experiencing a new reality through your brain simply focusing on different things. Because when you think about it, no one experiences the same reality. There might be an objective reality out there that we all experience, but everyone's actual experience of reality is very subjective because we all notice different things. So simply through shifting your attention and priming your brain, you are already experiencing a different reality. Now, the second step of the process is to reprogram your beliefs. Now, the first reason this is important is because our minds have things called cognitive biases. And one type of cognitive bias is confirmation bias, which essentially means that our brain is always seeking evidence to confirm our beliefs to us. So we need to make sure that our beliefs are in alignment with our desires, so that our brain is again seeking out evidence to confirm them to us. Otherwise, again, like in step 1, our brain is going to be attuning to information that aligns with the reality that we don't want to experience. However, another reason our beliefs are so important goes beyond simply the mental side of it and our brain just filtering in certain information. Our beliefs can also have physical effects. Now, an amazing example of this is the placebo alcohol studies. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the placebo effect. The placebo effect essentially is where someone is given an inert substance like a sugar pill, but because they believe they've received an active substance, like they believe it's a medication, for example, they actually experience physical effects. So people often experience physical healing even after only taking a sugar pill because they believed they'd received actual medication. Now, a similar effect has also been found with respect to alcohol. So there have been a number of placebo alcohol studies done, and in these studies you have some participants who are given real alcohol and then other participants who are given a non-alcoholic drink, but they believe that they are receiving alcohol. And what so many of these studies have found is that these people who are receiving the placebo alcohol, so who aren't actually receiving any alcohol at all, they still have altered behavior in line with as if they had received alcohol. So they might experience memory effects or, a lack of coordination or a greater inclination towards aggression. So many of these effects that come from consuming alcohol. And also it can be the good effects as well. It doesn't just have to be the negative ones. But these participants, they experience these actual alterations to their physical state even though they didn't receive any alcohol at all. So your beliefs and expectations literally shape your experience of reality, even in a physical way. So imagine if your beliefs are not in alignment with the reality that you're trying to create. Imagine the effect that could be having on your experience of reality. So what we want to do is reprogram our beliefs. Now, thankfully, our brains have a wonderful property called neuroplasticity. And so when we think certain thoughts, we are activating neural pathways. And the more that we think a thought and activate that neural pathway, the more we strengthen it. And the opposite is also true. If we stop thinking certain thoughts, then we stop activating the associated neural pathways, which allows those pathways to weaken and eventually prune away. So what we want to do is firstly pay attention to and notice those unwanted thoughts that keep coming up, and we want to stop reaffirming those thoughts. Now, one thing that really helps with this is mindfulness. So I would recommend starting to meditate, because meditation really helps to firstly notice the unwanted thoughts, but also it trains you to let those thoughts go instead of getting caught up in them and, ending up in a thought spiral where you keep reaffirming the thoughts, which means you keep strengthening the associated neural pathways. Through mindfulness, you can learn to instead let those thoughts go, which means you stop exercising the neural pathways and eventually you allow them to weaken and prune away. Now, the other thing that you of course want to do is affirm new beliefs. So figure out the beliefs that align with the reality that you're trying to create and keep affirming those to yourself through affirmations, for example. And this might feel robotic at first, it might feel like it's having no effect, but I promise you, if you keep affirming those thoughts to yourself, then there is activity happening in your brain. The associated neural pathways are being activated and they are strengthening over time. So even if it feels like nothing at first, these pathways will eventually strengthen, and eventually these new thoughts will become habitual to you, which means they will eventually turn into beliefs. And a little bonus here is when you keep affirming these new thoughts, if you can add emotion to those thoughts, then it's going to make them even more powerful. So one way that you might want to do this is through visualization. Pair your affirmations with a visualization of actually receiving your desire and working towards it, so that you actually do elicit those stronger emotions, which is going to make it even more powerful when it comes to reprogramming your mind. So the third step of the manifestation process is about taking effective action. Now, the first two were about priming our brain, but this step is more where we shift into the physical aspect of manifestation, and that is to take action. So through training our reticular activating system in step 1, we should now be attuned to different opportunities that align with our desires. So those opportunities are now there and we need to begin acting on them. But how can we make that action as effective as it possibly can be? The answer is through visualization. Now, visualization is so powerful because it harnesses a type of neuron in our brain called mirror neurons. So mirror neurons are essentially a type of neuron that activate both when we physically do something, but they also activate when we see someone doing the same thing, or also when we imagine it. So this is what the key is. Mirror neurons were actually first found in monkeys. So there was a study done where monkeys were watching a researcher perform a specific task, and essentially the areas of the monkey's brain that would have lit up if the monkey was doing that task also lit up when they simply watched the researchers doing the same task. So this is how mirror neurons were discovered. Now humans also have mirror neurons, so we can also harness the power of visualization. Now this is something that athletes often do. They often visualize performing their sport so that they can improve their performance. For example, if they're playing basketball, they'll visualize themselves playing it beforehand so that when they come to actually do it, they've technically already practiced it because their brain has already been lighting up the same areas. So the key here when it comes to manifestation is don't just visualize yourself receiving your desire. Don't just visualize the end goal. What you want to also do is visualize the process of achieving that goal. So for example, if you want to manifest your dream body, don't just visualize having that dream body, also visualize doing the workouts or doing the healthy eating habits, whatever it is, visualize the process of attaining that dream body too. If you do this, you're going to be activating your neural pathways and priming your mind to take action. So when you come to actually physically taking action, it's like your brain's already done it. So it's going to be easier for you and also more effective. So these 3 steps show that manifestation is not just wishful thinking. Science shows that by harnessing the power of our mind, we can shift our reality. Now, if you want to understand if it goes beyond this and beyond the mind, then you can watch this video next. In this video, I cover a quantum physics interpretation, which basically suggests that our mind might be able to physically affect reality at the quantum level. I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching.